Hello, mentors. Welcome to meeting three, part two, the game of set. So that's will take 20 minutes, maybe a little more, depending on the time you have. Remember, we have a short meeting because we will have an external survey from education department. So let's talk a little bit about what this is and the part. So you'll explore the combinatorial game of set. We also call it tree, Dia de los Muertos team version, to continue with meeting two. And we'll answer different questions that involve reasoning, counting, and looking for configurations of sets of three friends, specific ones called trees. So here's the breakdown. First, explain the rules, play just a little bit. The main part is really playing and discussing options. And then if you have time, or if some students don't really want to play but do more math, we have the Plaza Mágica activity. So the first part is to explain the rules of the game and really look for efficiency in your explanation. So you explain the game, play a sample round, and some key things here. Let's first explain it ourselves real quick. Let's read. We'll say that three different friends, really músicos, form a tree or a set if for each aspect, the músicos, let's change it here, the músicos are either all the same or all different. What am I talking about aspects? Well, we know from the previous meeting, there's four aspects: the face, the body, the gift, and the number of jaranas. And so I have to check that these amigos, these músicos, for every aspect, either they all agree or they are all different. They really disagree. This is an example of a tree, these three músicos, because let's go aspect by aspect. They are all human. The three of them are human. They all have a dress with a skirt. They all have different gifts, so they cover all the gifts, bread, chocolate, and dahlia, and they disagree in how many jaranas they brought to the party. These brought 2, these brought 0, and these brought 1. So I have these 4 checks. I can call them a tree. Then, as part of the explanation, you would do this part A, which are a tree and Y. Let's quickly check. This will be a tree because you have all equal in face, all equal bodies, all equal gifts, and all different number of jaranas. And then you ask about this choco combo, if they are a tree or not. And, some aspects look good, like the faces look good. But unfortunately, they don't all agree and they don't all disagree. So there's like a majority without being overwhelming, right? So 2 and 1. There's exactly 2 choices of the same in jaranas. Exactly 2 equal choices. So that's what you're avoiding, the exactly 2 equal choices. Same for the chocolate here. So it's not a tree. Then what you would do, let's read a little bit about the teaching manual. You make sure that students understand the following, what we just said. If at least one aspect fails, in the sense that exactly you get 2 equal values, for example, the aspect of the gift here failed because you didn't have all 3 equal and you didn't have all 3 different. You have a 2, like a 2 to 1. Then you can conclude that the 3 músicos do not form a tree, do not form a set. Okay. So then you would just play several rounds, hopefully only 10 minutes to save time for the next activity. So how does a round go? Let's just read. You'll have some cards representing the músicos. You will lay out these 9 cards randomly at the center of the table for all to see. And then students will look silently and look for a tree. So, okay, this was easy because it was just like a yes or no. But what's going to happen is that actually when the game comes, there'll be 9 different musicos in a 3x3 grid. And students are just looking all over the place to detect a tree. And they'll just shout, oh, I found a tree. And they will say, these 3 cards form a tree. Let's say this, and this, or something like that. Although this cannot be. And then they validate. And if it's a tree, you just remove these 3 cards, put 3 new cards. So you just, regenerate the game board, and everybody plays at the same time. So it's a competitive game, right? It's like a contest of speed, who can detect a set fast, right? That's kind of the heart of the game, who can do it fast. But we have offered other options so that it gets a little more cooperative at some point. So you could have a volleyball style. You get 30 seconds of silent thinking. So it's not about, oh, I found the tree, but just think silently. And then a student that found a set or a tree only points at one card. So it's kind of giving a clue. Then another student will build on that and point at another card. And a third student will try to point at a third card and form a tree. So it will be kind of a victory of 3 different students. And they may fail at the end. They may say, oh, it's impossible to form a set. So there's some reasoning. And then they can change it a little bit. So it becomes more like a discussion instead of a super fast game of speed, right? You could also have, this is also a nice, one of my favorite variants of this game of set. You start with only 2 cards instead of 9 in your grid. So let's just draw. Let's just draw it a little bit like you would only show 2 cards. Let's say this card and this card. There's nothing else. And then a student may say, oh, these 2 cards can be a tree if maybe the next card that comes has a chocolate, it's a musical with a chocolate, that's not a human, and blah, blah, blah. So the mentor then draws a random card, put it here. And then another discussion, right? Again, oh, no, my wish didn't come true. But now if you draw a card that has this or that traits or characteristics, then I can form a set. Boom. Yes or no? Oh, no, but blah, blah, blah. Let's wish for this. And then eventually a student may say, oh, I found a tree now. Okay, so it's nice. It's more relaxed, I think, right? Because, and there's some anticipation, like a good anticipation of what can come next. And it feels more like a team effort because there's discussion before. The last variant that is suggested in the teaching guide, of course, you can create your own. It's called Try Your Luck. So this is a little random now. You would display 9 cards, but you would have 2 cards that are hidden. Okay. So just, you can cover them or, put it, flip it. And then a student will pick 2 cards that are visible. Let's say this and this one. And the student will say, okay, I claim that I can form a set. So I'll try my luck. And then what happens is that the mentor just these cards that were hidden now will be shown. Okay. So just flip it, right? And then out of these 4 cards, the student or the pair of students or everybody together will try to see if there's a tree out of these 4 cards. So maybe this one, and this one, or maybe not. And so it's nice. It's more random, a little less thinking, but you can still analyze the game and maybe, do some other variations. So that's the game. And then the last part, if there's time, depending on how the meeting goes, you can actually do a math activity, very nice, that it's called tic-tac-toe, in which you use logical deductions to actually create a board with a lot of trees, like a tic-tac-toe style. So you want to put cards in these 6 remaining spaces out of this initial condition. So this is how it started. So that every row, every column, and every diagonal, it's actually a tree. So that's why it's called Mágica, right? Magical Plaza. So it's a magic square somehow. Very, very interesting. And then some other questions. Again, don't rush. So it's totally fine if you just do 1 and 2 here, and maybe you can leave this as a homework. Okay, so that's the game of set. Hopefully you'll enjoy it and have a lot of fun. Thank you.